You are now listening to Sweep the Rack podcast featuring Brooklyn Rob and Big Mike.
Rob, what's good, homie?
Who do you think you are? I am retired.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just thought about that. I was looking at our previous episodes and was very proud of myself on our last week's naming of our last episode.
True.
Who do you
Also,
think you are? I am retired.
shout to Jimmy from the Ringing 10 on that Walter Ray retirement tribute video. That was of the utmost entertainment value and dopeness. And, there's some discussion out there, Rob, I guess, as a follow-up on our episode last week. There's some discussion out there about, is Walter Ray getting the just due he deserves? And is Pete getting more attention that he deserves? And there's some discussion, right? And one of the things I said on Twitter is that to me, it kind of goes to show you that sometimes you get more credit for being entertaining than you do for beating the guy who is entertaining everybody.
Yeah, was that was a response to my tweet about Squidward, right?
Yeah.
the SpongeBob feeling like Walter Ray is kind of looking down at all the media attention for Pete Weber the last few weeks. Yeah, look, I don't think Walter Ray really cares about any of the media attention, to be honest with you. If you probably asked him when we probably spoke to him, he'd probably be the first to say, like, I don't really give a shit, about what the media looks at. But in regards to mainstream media, I mean, of course, Pete Weber was the name, right? Like, Pete Weber was the mainstream face towards bowling, and him retiring is a big story. Bleacher Report picked up on it, Barstool picked up on it. I saw some other platforms that did.
Bill retweeted Pablo Torre, who did a closing segment on it on an ESPN show, and that generated some conversation as well. A lot of people retweeted that. It was very well done. Pablo Torre referred to Pete Weber as the face of pro bowling. I don't know if I would agree with that. I mean, I guess to the general public, certainly. I don't know about two bowlers themselves, but yeah, like we said last week, Rob, huge week, two giants of the game, retiring. And, obviously, it's Masters week, Rob, and we're not going to see those two guys. From what I understand, they both withdrew from the event. Right. But it still is Masters week. Rob, what you feel is one of the best weeks in bowling. I mean, next week is U.S. Open week, which I know is your bread and butter, right? But Masters week, I know, is always a bowling week that you enjoy as well.
Yeah, I'm not too sure about the schedule, that being back to back. I feel like the Masters and the U.S. Open and the majors should be separated in close to almost like quarters, right? Like, I don't know, maybe every few months you have a major. Every few months you have a major. I feel like that it almost like puts the whole year together, right? When you separate the majors, when you have them all this close together. And I brought this up last week. Are you shooting your load too quick? Yeah. The prizes stink. I mean, look, when it comes to this year,
somebody in the chat commenting, Shep Ramsey in the chat commenting 30K prizes for majors, shaking my head. I agree. I think that takes away from the excitement a little bit for me. The fact that prize money isn't as high as some of these other events that we've seen recently. I agree with you, Rob. I think, obviously COVID has something to do with this as well, right? Yeah. With the scheduling,
Sure.
They're both in the same bowling center, I believe, too, right? They're both in the National Bowling Stadium.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I feel like they did more for probably international players so they don't have to go back and forth. Because someone like, just example, like a Jason Belmonte, every time they go back to Australia, I think they're still having to quarantine for 2 weeks and front up their own hotel bill, which is like $2,000, I would imagine, for 2 weeks of staying in a hotel, depending on Belmo ain't staying at the Motel 6, I'll tell you that. So
Right.
I could understand why they kind of grouped them together. I think they'd probably go back to their normal tour schedule in 2022. But yeah, it's awesome for us both, like, to watch, be able to watch and get it all at once. But I don't know. I personally like it if they separate them and I could watch. Like someone in the chat wrote, Mitch Young, they should start the season with a major and with a major, and then the others sprinkled throughout the season.
Yeah, ideally, I think.
I mean, think about like if they started with the Players Championship at 250,000 and ended with the TOC like at 100,000. I think that would be pretty cool. And then you put the Masters and the U.S. Open in the middle, especially if the Masters and the U.S. Open isn't big money. You want to end or start with a bang and end with a bang. Almost like you're running a TV show, right? Like when you run like a really popular TV show, your season premiere is always a great show, and your season finale is always, the end game of the whole season. So,
I think like talking about that issue of the arrangement of the majors and the scheduling of the majors, I think it also brings into discussion the issue that, and I'm not knocking anybody who's been in charge over time for this. I think this is just a result of, the fluidness of the PBA and their TV partners and things of this nature. But I don't really feel like the PBA has ever gotten down a legitimate schedule where they set things up in the proper way. Like even this year, like you just mentioned, Rob, the Players Championship was first and it was 250,000. Like, shouldn't the $250,000 event be the culminating event?
100%.
And like the way they've set things up, shouldn't the PBA playoffs really be the culminating event of the entire season? I mean, the last 2 seasons, it's been that. Now you go back 2 seasons ago, and it was $100,000, right, for the PBA playoffs, and that was huge. Now, in the second season, it was not the biggest event. It was still 100,000 first. It was not the biggest event, and this year it's still going to be 100,000, but it's not even going to be close to the biggest event. So I don't know. To me, that's an issue. Like if you're going to try and market things the correct way, and things are going to lead up to this event, then that event that they're going to lead up to needs to be the culminating event in every way, right? Because to the viewers and to the sponsors, I think that when you have that $250,000 event up front, right, and then you're bowling the rest of the season, and you get to the culminating event at the end, and it's 100,000. It's kind of like, well, why wasn't that the $250,000 event? That to me then brings in the issue of the money at the U.S. Open and the Masters, right? 30,000 for first each. I saw a comment here about how it's a USBC issue and it's not a PBA issue. Amen to that. Okay, but at the same time, it does, in terms of the fans' view of it, the marketing view of it, I think that these things that I'm referring to affect how people feel about the product being presented.
Look, Billy Punch hit the nail on the head about needing consistency. Look, I'm not going to jump on the USBC and the PBAs. I'm not going to jump on them right now. Too bad, because of the whole COVID in the schedule and whatnot, right? They had to do what they had to do to get the tournaments, everybody there. They can't run, a 6-month or an 8-month tour this year because of that. But
right,
I think they need to take a page out of golf. Every Father's Day, the U.S. Open is on for golf, right? The Masters is on in the same time in August. They run the same tournament, so when it's Father's Day weekend that it's U.S. Open for golf. When it's certain times of the year that it's these certain tournaments. I feel like eventually, when the world hopefully gets back to normal, they need to go to a consistent schedule. They need to be consistent on their weekly shows, and they need to be consistent on when they run their majors. I think that's just a smart play. It's a smart way to run a professional tour. Every sport does it, Mike. Find me a sport.
The prize money has to match up too, though.
The prize money has to match up. I mean, but the PBA and the USBC, they kind of work together, but they don't really work together. There's such a confusion around how well the USBC and the PBA work together. There really is, because they have them.
Can you imagine how hard it's going to be to find the scores this week?
Oh God, I don't want to think about that. We'll get there. But I think that think about every sport though, Mike. NFL, baseball. Every sport is consistent, and when they start the season, when they end the season, they're consistent. When the Super Bowl is, they're consistent. When the NBA Finals are, the playoffs, baseball, right? Excluding this past year or two, which is an exception, but everybody knows when spring training is. Everybody knows when exhibitions. I feel like the PBA needs to get on a consistent schedule. Plain simple.
Fair enough.
So let me go over the Masters.
Okay.
It is. Yeah. So, look, since the PBA website, we all know stinks, Sweep the Rack is going to let all of our viewers and people listening to this know what exactly Masters Week looks like, what the schedule is, the days of qualifying. That's what we do for you guys. We're a people's podcast, so that's how we run. Monday, March 29th. So next Monday is the first practice session. Okay, we don't really care about the practice session. Practice, right? It's just practice. Tuesday, March 30th is the first round of qualifying, 7 a.m., 1 p.m., and 7 p.m. Mike, 3 qualifying squads, A, B, and the C, 5-game qualifying blocks. Okay. Wednesday, March 31st, another five games of qualifying, 7 a.m., 1 p.m., 7 p.m. I'm assuming 7 a.m. This is West Coast time because this is in Reno. So 7 a.m. would probably imagine start at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Then Thursday, April 1st, April Fool's Day, will be the third round of qualifying, 5 games for C block, A block, and then B block. After 15 games of qualifying, the top 63 players, Mike, plus the defending champ will advance to a double elimination match play competition. This is where all hell breaks loose in this qualifying bracket, right? You get people from all walks of the bowling community start winning matches and making runs. It's really fun to watch. It's
Brian Bogosian, one of my favorite Masters champions ever.
Sweet Roland, John Nolan.
Man, yeah. I mean,
Brett Wolf.
Joe Pelusic making the show.
Jason Queen. Remember that year?
Yeah.
I mean, think about all the guys who have won that you guys never even heard of, but will go in the history books as winning a Masters. You know, to me, it's one of the best tournaments for a guy that is a regional player or even a really good amateur to make a run in, because you get hot in match play. It's not hard to be able to win a 3-game total pinfall match, right? It is hard, but it's not hard. You know what I mean? If you catch the right people.
True. Rick Stone is asking, does the defending champ not have to go through qualifying? Well, Rick, they always bowl the qualifying. Obviously, they want to get a read on what the lanes are doing, what their look looks like. But it does allow them the luxury of, if they don't bowl well, they're still guaranteed to be in that match play field of 64. Okay, so just to explain that there. Rob, am I correct that Buttriff is the defending champ here?
I believe so, but I don't know for sure. I'll be honest with you. Okay. I was just thinking about that. Like, who won last year? I'm sure someone in our chat knows, but I would guess right. But Buttriff would be my educated guess, my bowling fan educated guess.
Yeah, it's Buttriff. Okay.
So Friday, April 2nd is when the winner's bracket gets their roll call. So winner's bracket will be bowling Friday. So that's when the really fun match play 2 watches. And then, so that'll go down to the top 16. And then Saturday, April 3rd is a winner's bracket. And then a lot of just losers brackets and all kinds of brackets. And the finals are on Sunday, April 4th at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, so 2 p.m. Eastern to 4 p.m. live on FS1. So Sunday, April 4th. So that is my rundown.
Okay. Yeah, people in the chat are saying 2019 was the last Masters. Yeah, okay. I vibe with you on that, but I
Yeah.
did remember that Jacob Buttrick was the defending champion, so I'm sure he still gets the bye into the match play, even though his win was from 2 years ago.
Sure.
So yeah, Rob, I used to love when this tournament was a Carol Ear, even though Bill, he probably won't hear this. I hope he doesn't hear this, even though he used to miss the cut like every single year that the Masters was a Carol Ear for whatever reason. I loved seeing that tournament at Carol Ear, loved watching it. I mean, the match play is just intense and amazing.
Mike,
The
Mike, I gotta cut
competition
you
is
off.
fierce.
I got to cut you off. I got a great Bill O'Neill Masters story that I got to share. Okay?
Okay.
I don't think anybody knows this story. Okay. We were bowling in Reno. I think it was like 2002 or 3. I bowled that year at the Masters. I made the first cut. So the cut was to the top. I believe that year they took the top 120, and then they bowled 5 more games to cut to the top 64 to match play. Okay. Me and Bill crossed together in that first round Masters at top 120. Okay, this was the year before they fixed it in Reno about it. So this is when the stadium was super left-handed friendly. Okay, it was me, Bill, and Mike Scroggins on the same pair. Okay, me, I qualified. I think it was like a 30th or 40th, and just bowled absolutely terrible in match play. Okay, Bill gets up in the 10th frame. He needs a mark to make the top 64. He gets up and he leaves a pocket 510. Okay. Literally just absolutely saws the rack and leaves a 510 and misses the cut. Mike Scroggins, we were struggling because the right side went uphill. Scroggins went like 300 over for 5 or something like that. And me and him like couldn't even get like the 5 pin out or the 10 pin out. I'll never forget that walk back to the room. And Bill, this was before like he was like really like a top guy on tour. He was, I think he was still an amateur. He was still bowling college at the time. Dude, he was steaming on that 510 for I could not, dude, I made fun of him for at least 6 months on that 510. Where's your purse? Called him Nancy. I mean, you could just imagine all the kinds of shit I was calling him. But yeah, that's my story about Bill missing the cut at the Masters. Since you brought it up, I'll never forget that 510. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah, I don't know what it's been about that tournament, but it certainly hasn't panned out to be a good one over the course of his career for him. And again, I will deny saying this, even though it will be on the internet, just in case he hears this. So, do we have
Johnson,
favorites? What up, man? What's up? So, do we have favorites here, Rob, or what? Do we want to talk picks, or it's so hard? It's so hard to make picks, but I'm sure we're probably going to talk a lot of chalk, right? Because the favorites are going to be the people that you're generally going to pick. But do you have any thoughts there? I'm surprised Tom Doherty's not bowling. I mean, I'm still like, wow, I get it. I'm not knocking the guy, but man, in bowling, when you're hot, I know you want to be out there. So I know it has to be tough for him to sit these events out with how loose his swing's got to be after he just tore up the World Series and won the World Championship. But thoughts from you, Rob?
Yeah, to be honest with you, I'm surprised Doherty's not bowling. And I'm also surprised that Pete Weber and Walter Ray, who both, retired, why didn't they wait 2 more weeks to retire? Why not finish up with the U.S. Open and the Masters if you're them? That was kind of curious on that point too. Like, why retire and pull out of the 2 of them? To me, if I was Pete Weber or Walter Ray, I probably would have, waited until after the U.S. Open. Imagine Pete Weber going out with a U.S. Open title and then retiring. Just saying. Look, I know what that's.
I think that's the point, though.
Yeah. So anyway, really surprised Tom Doherty's not bowling. But I think, like we talked about, I think it was more of a doctor issue than it was him not wanting to bowl. But yeah, I mean, you're in the run for Player of the Year. The last thing you want to do is miss 2 of the majors that could. One show Mike cements him for probably Player of the Year. But anyway, so yeah, I think we're going to see I think we're going to see some new faces on Make This Show, Mike. I think it'll be, usually I think it's a top 4 that make the Masters show. I feel like we're going to see 2 out of 4 are going to be faces that we really want to see. I would love to see an amateur make it. this year. I always love when the amateurs used to make it and used to have like two well-known pros, one good pro, and then one amateur that because you've bowled against them. But remember Art Brown made the show. It's like just like stuff like that where you just that makes it more exciting as a fan to watch it when you have some amateur make the show.
Yeah, agreed. You mentioned the bowler of the year, player of the year discussion, and I'm going to go in that direction in terms of a pick, right? And that's Kyle Troup. Because if there's, if Tom Doherty is the hottest bowler on the planet, then I think Kyle Troup is probably a close second. And it wouldn't surprise me at all to see him on this show. I also think a big question, and one of the writers for Flow actually put out an article on it today, I think, is, what are we going to see from Belmo here? Right? He had a lackluster World Series, didn't make any shows, didn't really perform well especially for his standard. Does he come back? And I know that in that article, there were some comments from Tim Mack about overreaction, I guess you would say, is a fair word to use. And I got to say, listen, Belmo is held to a higher standard by everyone, by fans, by the players. I would think even by himself. So to see him have the World Series that he did, I think it does deserve the reaction that people are giving to it. Now I don't. As I joked on the show last week, I don't think that it's going to go, as far as to say, oh, he's washed up or he's done. But I'll be watching this week to see where is he in the field. Is he still struggling? Is he bowling better? Is he making a run at it? Jerry Johnson in the chat mentioning EJ, how he made every show, right? No surprise there if we saw him on this show either. I mean, you think about the guys who do something special that when you get on a pair with them, it's really tough to compete with them in a 3-game match. And I think Belmo, I think Kyle Troup, I think EJ Tackett falls into that category as well. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see any of those guys. And again, I mentioned before, I'm talking a lot of chalk here. But in terms of the Masters, it's tough to pick anybody but the favorites because the field is usually a minefield you're trying to get through.
Yeah, I think big names like Belmo and EJ Tackett and Kyle Troup, this format either is really helps them or really can play against them. And what I mean by that is sometimes, there is an intimidation factor when you bowl Belmonte. If you haven't been bowling against him, so if you're someone, I don't know, like just a regular regional pro or maybe even an amateur and you catch Belmo in the bracket, there could be an intimidation factor where, look, you're bowling against the best in the world. There's more nerves than there normally is if you're bowling someone you don't know. But then there's the other way where when I'm bowling Belmonte, I know I have to bowl my best. And then sometimes you'll get, 700s or 750 shot at you because you have to bowl that to beat Belmonte. Could play in their favor or against them, Mike.
Yeah, very true. Okay, so we'll be watching the competition this week. Rob gave everybody the schedule there, so you guys make sure you check it out as well. I believe it's airing on Flow. I haven't seen anything.
Bowl TV.
It's not on Flow at all.
I think it's on Bowl TV. I saw on USBC their homepage is on Bowl TV. I doubt that Flow and Bowl TV are both going to be running the same event.
No, they did that. They've done that before. They've done that before where they run the same feed.
Where's Lucas Wiseman when you need him?
Yeah, I know. Somebody tweet at him. Somebody tweet and find out if we're watching it on Flow this week. I'm going to be disappointed. I'm going to be disappointed if it's not on Flow.
So, I want to get to Mitch Young's question. I think this is a good question to talk about. Who do you think is going to be taking up the mantle of bad boy of bowling now that PDW is retired?
No one.
Honestly, Mitch, you're looking at the bad boys of bowling right here. This is as far as you're going to get. Honestly, you're not going to get someone unless I decide to go on tour and make a show. I don't know if I could be a bad boy, honestly.
Rob's speaking for himself there. I'm going to say that.
But I mean, really though, it's a good question. I think, to be honest, like, I think if you really have to play it on TV and you have to play it off TV too, so you can't just be like that on TV. The thing about Pete Weber was the way he was all the time. That's who he was. He didn't have to change his shtick. Like, he didn't have to go from being a bad boy on television and then being a nice guy off camera. The problem with someone first instinct would say Sean Rash, because Sean Rash has the ability to be like that. But Sean Rash is super nice off the lanes. The kid does so much for his local areas. He does so much for the juniors, the charities. He's not so much as a bad boy. I also think Belmo could be a really good bad boy of bowling, but Belmo is too PC. Belmo won't, drop an F-bomb on TV or, crotch chop in the middle of a match.
Good.
So
good.
I'm
just
saying.
I don't want to see that shit anyway, honestly.
I do.
Yeah, I know you do. You want to see
someone new.
You want to see an old man direct all of our attention to his crotchal area. You
I mean, you got to have someone who has that personality out there, and I don't think anybody really has that personality. I think someone who would be a good bad boy, if I was like, a entertainment, what is that, like someone like Vince McMahon, I would say Jesper Svensson would be my pick to someone who could be like that, because he has the look, he has the tattoos, he looks like a bad boy he does, but he's also really nice. Bowlers are too nice, Mike. It makes for very non-entertaining shows. Anyway.
You know what? You always talk about the WWE, and how they need to pull from that. Yeah. Here's a suggestion. Maybe the heel should be Tom Clark. Maybe maybe the commissioner should be the heel. Like, maybe he could, in the middle of a match, he could come out with a spray gun and like spray somebody's lane before they're shot and be like, commissioner's timeout. Oh my God, he's coming out to spray the lane. He's going to spray the lane on him. Right. Maybe he could turn heel. I think, I think that would be super interesting,
Dude, guys, the front nine
too.
Could you imagine guys at front nine on TV? Tom Clark comes out at 10 shot and says, "No, you're out." Like,
rule change. You got to knock down 20. Commissioner's exemption rule change.
Dude, okay. Yeah. I mean, look, like, obviously that's just us talking. That's funny, but
yeah, no.
Dude, I love that
in all seriousness, though. I've said it before, and I will say it again. I mean, guys,
awesome.
Think about this for a second, okay? The group of people who are taking the chance to go on the professional tour and try and be a professional bowler is very, very small. Okay. Really, like, in the past few years, if you go back and you take a look, some years there's only 2 or 3 people, new people, young people, who come out on the tour, okay? And in recent memory, right, and I'm not being cruel to anybody at all. I know the competition is extremely tough out there. But in recent memory, there aren't too many of them who have had a lot of success, okay? So you're a new player out there. You're a young player out there. You're trying to learn. You're not having a ton of success. Your confidence probably isn't all that high. And we expect those guys to play the heel. And in order to play the heel, you got to be at Pete Weber's level, okay? So first, to have somebody come along and be this, they got to be at that level. And there's only a couple guys that are at that level. So, listen, if you're listening, and these young guys come out, they get befriended by the older guys. These are, I know this will make us feel old, Rob, but like the young guys coming out right now, Bill O'Neill was like their bowling idol growing up. Okay. So like they come out on tour and they see Bill O'Neill, like they're not going to step to Bill O'Neill. He's still Bill O'Neill. They're going to, befriend him and have that kind of relationship. So yeah, I don't, Dick Allen, he's in the chat, filled out right here, but he's somebody you don't give a shit, right, Dick? I mean, he doesn't seem to care what anybody thinks, right?
No, he's perfect for that role.
Like, he, I would agree. Like, if he would be a good possibility, but again, and
Bowling
Dick,
needs a good villain.
Dick,
Mike.
I'm not trying to start beef with you here again. Don't go ranting about us online, all right? But he's not at a Pete Weber level. Okay, he's nowhere near a Pete Weber level. And again, in order to play that role, you got to have that kind of. You have to have that kind of success. You have to have that kind of exposure. You have to make the show that often. You have to be in competition to win that often. And again, there's only a few guys.
Villain. Bowling needs a good villain, Mike. I can't say that enough. And I mean villain. I might talking someone who's purposely like looking to like screw shit up. I mean someone that's going in there, doesn't give a shit what anybody says, and will talk and tell people that, right? Like in a kind of professional way, right? Like just hey,
don't hold your breath. And you know what? It's got to be natural too. Like this is who Pete Weber was. This was not an act. This was not something that he was doing as a performance. This is really who he was. Like he was out there losing his mind while he was bowling. Okay,
I know, yelling at kids in the crowd. I mean, that's what he did.
So like, there's just not that personalities. There aren't those personalities out there. The game doesn't breed those personalities right now. The game is the top level. Bowling in general is such a small community. So, Rob, you and I know, I mean, the top level of the game is like such a small community. So everybody knows everybody. And it's like, that doesn't breed the type of environment that we're talking about.
Mike, I wish we could film bowling matches back in the action days, back in like, even when I was a good kid growing up in the late 80s and 90s, I couldn't imagine what it was like in the 50s and 60s in Brooklyn. Mike, you want to talk entertainment value? You get some of those action matches where people were chirping left and right, bowling for thousands of dollars. To me, it was always a villain. It was always entertaining.
Stay tuned. I'm trying to. I have some things in the works. I don't want to put too much out there, but as the COVID situation clears up, I actually got my first vaccine shot today. As the situation clears up, I don't know. You might see some bowling based entertainment from Sweep the Rack, kind of down that path that you were just referring to there, Rob. So, all right, so let's move on. Can we move on?
Yeah. Yeah, so I wanted to bring up this next story while I was going through the USPC message boards. I wish I was going through the USPC message boards, the gift that keeps on giving. So Bowl.com ran a story about a young gentleman who set the 9-game scoring record, Mike. And I want to talk real quick about this. He was a Missouri bowler, and he literally I'm pulling an article right now, but from my understanding, he averaged he opened the games with 300, 256, 269, 825 series, added an 822 doubles, and then an 836 singles, Mike. A 2483 all events total, averaging 275 for 9 games.
Ho hum. I mean, it's 9 games. Whatever. I mean, with the scoring pace the way it is today, I'm not even impressed by that, honestly.
Really? I mean, you got to give the kids some credit, man. That's a big score, regardless of how easy the lanes are.
Rob, let me say this. So, like, I haven't bowled on house shots regularly for some time, okay? I started practicing again. I went to my local center last weekend. Happens that when I walked in the door, they had a fresh house shot they were putting out. The guy was just finishing up doing the lanes. I asked him, what are you putting out? Fresh house shot. I said, oh, can I get on one of the pairs with the fresh house shot? Said, okay, yeah, no problem. I threw maybe a game and a half of warm up, right? Just warming up, kind of getting my timing down, etc. Then I decided, all right, let me bowl 2 games for score. Okay. I went 279, 268. All right. And yo, I was throwing it like garbage. Okay. I mean, I can't believe how easy they are these days.
They're easy.
I mean, it is unbelievable. Like when I got done bowling, practicing on Saturday, I thought to myself, how does anyone really miss. Like it seems almost impossible because you could almost throw it anywhere and the ball does most of the work for you. So like, I don't know, man. The scores are so out of control, Rob. Some of these 300 videos and 800 videos that I see on the USBC message board and on Facebook in general. No disrespect to the people shooting these scores, but Rob, I mean, if you showed me that person throw the ball, I'd say no way in hell will that person ever shoot 300 or 800. And they're pumping them out like it's nobody's business. So I don't know, man. It's just disappointing to me. And, you know, I wish the game hadn't gone down that path.
Okay, so now my question to you, and let's talk about this for a few minutes because we still have to get into the PBA canceling the PBA league. But I think this is an interesting conversation because this is a topic where always gets talked about all across bowling platforms everywhere, right? High scores, okay? High scores are a product of the bowling balls that are getting made, right?
Yo, this is a great comment. This is a great. Somebody commented your Bolero Rumble scores. No, I'm sorry, Mark. It wasn't a Bolero center. I don't go to corporate centers to practice. I usually go to privately owned centers where I feel like you get a little bit better treatment. But sorry to interrupt, Rob. That was a great comment.
Yeah, it's too bad because you could be in for $10,000, Mike. For the
50 grand, I think.
Well, 10,000 is first place. It's a 50,000 prize fund.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So now my question to you is, what can be done about these high scores? Because we know the bowling balls are a lot of the reasons why the scores are so high, right? But we know how much of the bowling ball companies are the big players in the industry right now. Now the bowling ball, and you call Storm the evil empire, right? And there's a reason why you call them the evil
I joke.
empire.
Can I clarify? I joke. I
know
joke.
You do. I know you'll never get a free ball from them ever after that.
I'll never get a free ball from anyone. I don't care. Listen, I don't need the free balls.
All
staff.
Okay. We got that going. Anyway, all I'm saying is the bowling companies have so much invested and such a foot in the water when it comes to the bowling industry. There's nothing really anybody can do about it, that the scores are so high. Like everyone always talks about it, but the high scores are here to stay. The wall lanes are here to stay. Now let me say something real quick here. Imagine if the USBC came in and they said, if you, as a proprietor in a bowling center and you own a bowling center, if you want your league to be USBC sanctioned, you have to run you have a choice of these 5 patterns that your league will vote on at the beginning of the year, and all 5 patterns are different, right? Maybe the league gets to test them out a week before, whatever it is, right?
Never gonna happen, but go ahead.
Yeah, it'll never happen because one, the leagues, the proprietors, the USBC will probably lose a ton of leagues, right? Because they'll just sanction themselves. Right.
Well,
so
to me, the belief is that the bowlers won't show up if they can't shoot high scores.
Okay, so that's the belief.
I think that's a fair way to boil down how a lot of proprietors feel and how, I'm not speaking for anybody here, obviously, but like how proprietors feel or how perhaps the USBC feels or the people in charge of bowling in general feel, right? Like if you don't produce the scores or help people produce the scores, then people are going to stop showing up. If you make things tougher, people are going to quit. Now, you brought up the idea of the ball companies, right? But I would think that the ball companies, and I listen, I could be wrong here, but I would think that the ball companies, wouldn't they benefit from the patterns in general, like particularly at the league level, being tougher? Because then if they're tougher, people are going to, buy more equipment, different balls for different patterns, et cetera. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure if the ball companies believe that their sales are driven by high scores. I think that's completely wrong. Because I think most bowlers, they get their ball, they hold on to it for a couple years, and then they get another ball, whether they shoot great scores with it or not.
So it's the bowling centers, really. It's the proprietors.
I think it is. I think it's the USBC too. I think they're like heavily involved in what has gone on here, because as the numbers dwindle, the scores have gone up, right? The scoring has got more out of control, and the numbers have continued to go down. So I guess their thinking is, in order to hold on to the people that we have to help them produce high scores. I don't know about that. I mean, I think that whatever. I'm not even going to say, because I don't want to get beat up for it. I mean, I'm probably wrong, and I'll admit that. But I think that having a challenging side to the game, or introducing people to a challenging side of the game, has the ability to get people hooked on the challenging side of the game, and trying to improve and really getting into the game. Whereas right now, I feel like most league bowlers are just like, they're doing it at a recreational level. It's like a social thing, you know.
You hit the nail on the head. You did, because here's the thing: is look,
Rob, I should be running bowling. I know. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
you should.
man.
You should be. Jed Murphy, look out. Jed Murphy, look out.
Yo. I'm kidding, by the way. Okay.
Here's the key point, though, to that. Here is the key point to that. Is now I'm going to compare it to golf. Dude, if you've ever been golfing, golf is a very, very challenging sport. Okay. Now there are easy courses and there are tough courses. Doesn't matter to me. If I go out there, I'm gonna like shoot 110 for 18. But it's gonna make me want to go to the driving range. If it's gonna make me want to go get lessons, right? It's gonna make me want to get better instead of. Now, could you imagine if the golf clubs and the way they set the golf course up, it turned me into a 75 or a 72 scratch golfer? I mean, I'm never going to think I'm never going to want lessons. I'm never going to want new clubs. I'm never going to want to get better, and I'm not going to invest more into it. But you're 100% right. The problem with bowling today is that the scores are too high. These league bowlers that are averaging 230, they're not spending the time and they're not spending the energy to get better, and they're not spending the money, which is in the local bowling centers. And that's a big point here. It's a really key point, is the fact that I think you're right, though. I think USBC needs to go back to the basics, and they need to try to get to work with the BPAA. Okay. Wouldn't that be, amazing if they could actually work together to come up with a solution to fix these super high 275 average scores at these bowling centers. These two, maybe, I don't know, maybe you penalize the bowling centers if you have a bowler that's, I don't know, Mike, what the answer is, or else I would be working for the USBC. But I think there has to be some kind of method or some kind of realization where the USBC and the BPA need to bring the scores down to try to start protecting the integrity of the game. Because it's getting really out of hand right now. It really is.
Oh my God, getting out of hand.
It's been out of hand. Correct. I know.
I mean, listen. Again, no disrespect to people, yo. Go out, have fun, shoot your 300s, 800s. But listen, if you see the same videos I'm seeing, and I'm sure a lot of you do, it's shocking. It's shocking. It's like, really, like that form shot 300, 830. Really? Like, I don't know, man.
It's not so much the form.
Oh, it is to me. It is to me.
If you've already shot 300.
In the chat, says if you've already shot 300 5 times and 800 2 times, by the time you're 24, what are you going to keep bowling until you're 65? Peak early, quit. But see, Chris, I think that comment to me brings up an interesting point of this discussion too, and we're getting very deep into this, so I'll put this out there, but I'm not going to go real deep with it. Like, part of what has been created out of this easy scoring environment is a false sense of accomplishment for all bowlers, right? And a false sense of self-worth for all bowlers. Okay, so a false sense of self-ego for all bowlers, because bowlers who have all these 300s and 800s, they tout themselves through those numbers, okay? They get ball sponsorships off of these numbers, all right? I think that a lot of that is false, obviously. A lot of it is just built on the lane conditions and what they're bowling on, and the fact that they're pretty easy, okay? But to answer your question, Chris, what it is it becomes a competition of who can shoot the most 300s and 800s, because there's a lot of even good bowlers, decent bowlers out there, bowlers even that I respect, okay, bowlers that I would bowl with in a tournament, okay, on a sports shot, who go online and tout their 300s and 800s. And listen, they know it don't mean shit. They know they threw it like garbage. They know that if they were bowling on something anywhere near challenging, they wouldn't even sniffed a score like that. But this is the environment we've created, okay? So I said the other day online, Rob, like I'm of the ilk that I think 40 feet flat should be the only pattern in bowling. Let the bowling centers, let the differences in the bowling centers and the topography of the lanes, and maybe we have differences in volume too, like 40 feet flat with low volume, 40 feet flat high volume, right? Something in the middle volume. You could do any volume you want. 40 feet flat should be, that's it. That's the bowling pattern. When you bowl on a lane, this is the oil that's on the lane that gets put on there fresh. It's 40 feet flat. It's different volumes of oil, and that's it. We should move forward from there. And if people don't like bowling in the most challenging environment that has been created up to this point, then yeah, give up the game. What do you want me to tell you? It's like you said with golf. Just because people suck at golf doesn't mean they're going to take the hole and make it the size of the green. No, you got to go practice and get better and learn how to get that ball in that little hole in the green. So, I'm fed up. I'm fed up with the high scores and the nonsense. I really am.
Yeah, and it doesn't really help the game either. So,
yeah, pro bowler, come on, Christian.
Come on, Christian.
Professional bowlers are in the chat saying we don't need that. Enough mental issues.
He's just big. He's big, dude. Those guys would love that more than anybody.
Yeah, but let me be clear, right? It's not, and I know he's joking, but it's not about the mental issues. It's about what's good for the game. I think pushing the reset button at a certain point would kind of be good for the game. Let's bring it back to where a 300 really means something again.
Yeah, but see, this is where this is the USBC's job. This is what This is what their job is. This is their responsibility.
It is.
So they need to work. And bottom line is to end this discussion. Bottom line is the USBC needs to work with the Bowling Proprietors Association to get this under control and try to bring back some integrity of the game. What amazes me is how the USBC could put out such a challenging shot in their yearly tournament at the Open, but they don't really hold those leagues to those same standards that they sanction either. So it's kind of a weird dynamic that they have where they let these bowling alleys, they let these people shoot 100 300s a year, but when you go to the Open Championships, those same people can't break 450 on team event. So what are you trying to tell the bowlers? Like you're giving them a false, hope. Oh well, you bowling a USBC Open Sanction League and you average 700, but then you go to the U.S. Open Yearly Championships and you can't average 450. So like, what are they trying to do to these people?
No,
right?
because no. See, because they know the mentality of those people. And the mentality of those people is to just say, "Oh, I just threw it bad. Oh, the approaches were bad. Oh, I didn't have the right ball. Oh, my look was no good. Oh, when I moved in and switched balls, I threw the last three. So if we would have bowled another three, I think I would have whacked." Rob, everybody, like I said, with the self-worth and self-ego thing, egos are so big in bowling and so out of whack in bowling that once people's egos get to a certain level, they will kind of make any excuse to save their own ego, right? And I think that's I think that's
you ever
exactly
see the 100
what
excuse
happens.
Shirt?
yeah, that's exactly what happens in the situations that you're talking about, right? Where they go to an event and they don't bowl well, et cetera. But yeah, so I agree, Rob. It's a shame. It's a shame.
Well, look, real quick point, because my brother Jeff just posted something. Okay?
Oh, geez, Jeff just posted a thesis.
He did, but I want to talk about this point real quick because Jeff, you're 100% right in the fact that people would quit, right? People would quit. So my brother wrote, putting out the hardest pattern Right.
Quit
Well,
then.
quit. Right. Quit. So what's going to happen is the USBC doesn't want to lose that initial. So what'll happen is if this is the curve of bowlers, right, and all of a sudden you start making the bowling leagues really hard, the USBC, the membership is going to drop, right, and it's going to go dynamically down. Everybody's going to quit.
Who knows? Who knows?
You don't know that for sure. Fact, you don't know.
Here would be my retort to Jeff quickly, right? I'm saying, and you can continue. Jeff, for a number of years, scores have gone up and enrollment has declined. So those who think that scores lead to people bowling, okay, you're wrong. That's an incorrect way of looking at it.
The membership's been going down anyway.
And scores are higher than ever. They're easier than ever, and membership keeps going down. So I would love to get that if membership goes down. I don't care if it goes down. Let's push the reset button. It'll come back. We'll build it back. We'll build it back from the grassroots level. That's up to us. That's up to people like me and Rob and you, Jeff, and other people in this chat who bowl, who really love the game, right, and have an appreciation for the game.
I would love to see that graph of the membership on one graph, and then the average of the scores, and see where I guarantee you the membership is going down and the scores are going up, right? There's probably a reason for that, right? I'm not saying that there's a direct correlation between the two, but what will happen is if the membership does have a little bit of a decline, the integrity and the challenge of the sport eventually should bring the sport back, and the incline should be slow incline. Mike, we could talk about this for hours. I love this conversation because it's important. Like, this is what's going on in the sport, and you're 100%.
It's the game we love, yo. You know,
it is. It's 100%.
The game we love, and I want to say, I'll tell you, I love the challenging side of the game.
I know
I
you
do. I'm all about it. I bowl like shit. I shoot under 500 sometimes, but I love it. Shooting under 500 makes me want to get out there and practice. It makes me want to get out there and figure out what was wrong, etc. Oh my goodness! Wait a second. I gotta put this comment up.
Man, I know.
Former guest host, my guy. What's up? What up? Jersey Jeff in the building. He says you need to scale league bowlers versus amateur competitive bowling versus professional. Each need to have strict standards and minimums. Okay, all right, but how do we assess those standards and minimums? Right? How do we do that? I'm not sure. It's a complicated question. This
is a big topic because everybody in the chat, including us, we're big. A lot of us bowl leagues. Right, and a lot of us we share this similar frustration with these scores being really high, and everybody, So I feel like if it got challenging, it's going to help integrity. So anyway, Mike.
Robert Hamilton with another great comment. Bring back Biff. The mascot. I remember
Biff was the man. Biff was the man.
Can I just say the ideas in bowling have sucked for so long, man. They really
bowling
have.
Is fun. Come on.
The game really needs some fresh ideas for real. I'm serious. Bring something to the table that's fresh,
So speaking of fresh ideas that the PBA squashed, that was their good fresh idea that is not
league
going
is
on
canceled, Rob. League is canceled.
The PBA league, Mike.
League is canceled. I mean, are you kidding me? Yo.
What? Why? What was their reasoning? Do you know why they canceled it? I don't want to hear COVID. I don't want to hear it, Mike.
No, Rob. It can't be COVID.
No, because they just ran a whole bunch of tournaments.
Yeah, I mean, come on. That's ridiculous. Okay?
So why did they cancel it, Mike?
I don't know. I've been thinking about this all day since I read the article. I understand that it can't be COVID.
Can't be money, right? They just offered $250,000 for first place at the players.
Can it be? Can it be though? Can it be though? Because there's a lot of payouts in that event, Rob. There's a lot of payouts. There's a lot of people. They added 2 teams. They added the women's teams, etc. I don't think that's a cheap event for them. So I think it stinks though, because that's one of the best products they have. Right. Why are you taking one of the best products you have and canning it for a year?
But they could run the strike derby. But you could run a strike derby.
And the Super Slam event, I think they're going to have. They announced today that
it's not Rick Stone. It's not COVID.
That they are going to have events at Bayside. So I assume some of those other events is going to be at Bayside.
October.
It does seem like they're not, it's not because they don't want to go to a non-Bolero center. It doesn't seem like it's that, because they're going to go to Bayside during the summer anyway. Yeah, Rick, it's not because of the crowds. If they want to have no crowds, they don't have to have crowds. They just did a whole series of events. They ran the team event during the pandemic when it was worse. Okay.
I know. It's not
So yeah, I just
mask mandates are going down. Florida is wild, wild west out there. Texas, Arizona. There's a bunch of states that they could hold the PBA league, and if it's not, Maine, it could be so many other places. Jeff Butler still chiming in, man. Dude.
Yeah,
I love talking with.
Make sure you folks read that comment. That's a good comment.
I love talking with I love talking with people who know the sport and who grew up with it, with like us. And we could have conversations for years. Come down to Philly, come to Big Mike in the basement, have grill some burgers and talk some bowling, man. That's the best. That's the best. But anyway,
yeah, I don't get it though. I don't get it. Canning, one of the best products you got.
Is this bad? I mean, no, I'm not saying is this bad. I'm saying, is this the start of them canceling events? Like, are we, or am I being a little bit over dramatic? Is this the start of like something really bad going on?
Yeah, I honestly, I just think it's probably, they've given out a lot of money already this year.
So you think they shot their load early?
I mean, is that such a stretch to think?
So it's got to be a financial issue why they canceled it. Has to be. There's no other reason for them to cancel it.
Do the numbers real quick, right? Do the PBA league was canceled, Jeff. They canceled the PBA league this year. There's going to be no PBA league this year, but there is going to be a special series of events at Bayside, like a strike derby and a super.
Why not just have the league?
So like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'd have to do the numbers. I'd have to do the numbers of like, what they paid each player and how many players there were. Because Rob, I'm telling you, I think that number could get up there pretty high, pretty quickly with the number of players they had involved. So,
Mike, I don't think the players would mind if they cut some of that money. I still think they would come out and bowl. Like,
I think they would, because they took a cut last year to bowl. Because the money that got paid to the two new teams actually came out of the money that was paid to all the other teams.
Yeah, maybe next Undercover Boss episode when Coley is on, she'll actually be giving money to pro bowlers. Maybe she'll dress up as a pro bowler, and at the end of the episode, she'll start handing out handouts to some of the guys that are making $7,000 or $8,000 on tour for that year.
Shep Ramsey in the chat is saying the special events require a lot less bowlers, though, too. Yeah, and I agree. Even if they're paying them somewhat more, it's less people that they have to pay. Jeff Butler saying it was $5,000 per player. I know, but it went up from there, Jeff. That's what I'm saying. So, like, even if you take $5,000 a player minimum, how many teams were there? There were 10 teams, right? That's 5 players on a team. That's 50 players. Then you have the coaches. It's 10 coaches. That's 60. That's 300,000 right there, and that's at a minimum, right? So to me, I think that was an expensive event. But here's the thing, though, it's one of the best events you got.
I know.
So you created it. You create this great marketable event, and then you're going to cancel it. I don't care what the reason is. That's a dumb decision. If it is financial, then they made a piss poor decision in giving away the amounts of money that they gave away in some of these early tournaments this year, not being able to run that event. Okay.
Yo, here's the thing, Mike.
Oh my god, Rob.
I know we are getting
bombed. We are getting bombed by the legends tonight, yo.
I know, legends.
Bombed
Butler,
by the legends tonight.
Decker, Jesus.
Terry Decker, what is up, my guy?
I feel like I'm honored.
Hit me up, son. Hit me up.
I'm honored. I'm honored.
Hope all is well, man. Yo, you want to talk
fun.
About strap? You want to talk about
Terry
like
Decker,
early strap? When I first saw that kid throw a bowling ball, I was like, holy shit. Like what is that? I mean, wild.
Mike, back to the point though, like why couldn't they run the PBA league and you have 8 teams but only pay the top 4 teams who make the like cut? Why do you have to guarantee money to every team bowling? Like, why can't you just make
you're
the actual
asking them to
tournament?
show up.
Doesn't
They're
matter
getting
though.
drafted. They're getting
don't give a
drafted. They're
shit.
being required to show up.
I don't
You can't
care.
require somebody to show up and not pay them, Rob. Come on. Some of
Well, they
these
gotta
people
make
are
the
traveling from overseas. Nah.
Got to make the cut. You got to bowl good,
I
man.
disagree with
this?
that.
What is this? Bernie Sanders way of fucking running the PBA? Like, no. Like, let's go. Like,
socialism in the PBA. It's funny. I'm teaching Animal Farm right now in class too. So it's like it's all about socialism.
Dude, all I'm saying is just like, yo, have the guys work for their money, man. You make the cut, you get paid. You don't make it, then. And you know what? If you're against that, then find, draft people that don't give a shit about showing up to get paid. Like, I get what you're saying, Mike. But like, if you're gonna, I'd rather them do that than cancel the event.
I saw that too, John. There's only 16 people to qualify for the playoffs this year as well. I did notice that, so definitely something that I took note of there. I think this is a really interesting comment again from Mitch Young. Mitch Young, you're doing a great job tonight. Nice job, Mitch Young.
Yeah, man, he's got.
Shouldn't paying players to attend be on the team owners? All right, well, the ownership of the teams is fictitious, right?
There.
So, but this makes me think of something though, right? Why not try and go out and recruit sponsors for some of these teams, right? Why not go out and try and recruit individual sponsors for some of the teams to be able to run the event, right? And offer a sponsorship to a big company that's not going to cost them very much at all, where you make the shirt, something revolving around that company or whatever it may be. That would have been something that I looked into if I was the PBA. And somebody else commented here about how can they not have the money? It was Robert Hamilton, another great comment. How can they not have the money if they have sponsors like Kia and Snickers? Because they're not making it. Like I said before, they're not really making that much money off of the sponsorships with Kia and Snickers. Okay. So yeah. Oh, Stumpo's birthday. Happy birthday, Stump.
It's a pony birthday. Show. It's a smoke show.
Happy birthday. Man, both of my former summer league teammates in the chat at the same time. I love it. It's good stuff.
Yeah. It's a smoke show. These sponsor Key and Snickers, and then you have to cancel the PBA league, because you're talking about how the money was too much, but you just brought in 2 new sponsors. Dude, fucking smoke show, dude. It's smoke and mirrors, the sponsors. They probably gave Coley a lifetime supply of Snickers and a Kia Sorrento, and that was the fucking sponsorship.
You're tough. All right, Rob. I think that time of the week. I think everyone's favorite time of the week has arrived. All right, it's worst of the week, Rob. You want to go first? You want me to go first?
Yes, sir. I can go first. Actually, you know what? You go first. Go at it. I know you got a good one, so let's do it.
Give me a second here. Hold on. Okay, so I got to give a shout. To somebody here. I got to give a shout to Eric from Twitter @FrostJob. @FrostJob on Twitter. He actually sent me my worst of the week this week. Now I had a few others. I'm not going to lie. I had a few others, but I'm going to go with this one because I thought it was great. And it kind of fits into the discussion that we had earlier in the show too. This is from the Hammer Bowling group, okay, on Facebook. And this was posted by Sean Peterson. Okay. Sean Peterson, congratulations. Worst of the week winner here. Here's the post. So my 10-year-old son had been bowling with Storm equipment and had a 77 average. Bowled yesterday after we gave him all my wife's equipment, a 2.0 and a WebMB. Bowled a 96, 116, and a 150. Can't say it's 100% equipment because we practice with him a lot, but it sure does make a difference to have the right ball in your hand.
How old was the kid?
7.
You bowled 150 the last game. They must have broke down. He must have moved like 2 hours left.
Helps to have the right ball in your hand, even when you're 7.
Yo, my guy, he opened the lane up, dude. He opened the lane up, dude.
Frost Job. Shout to Frost Job on that one.
Started out early.
We losing Rob? Is Rob breaking up on everybody here?
Shout outs to Bill Sell. Yeah.
Okay.
Shout outs to Bill Sell, my old college bowling guy from Michigan State. Sent me my worst of the week from.
Oh, Rob, we're losing you, Rob. Come back to us.
No money because the regional pros show up.
Hold on, Rob, wait. We lost you there. You got to start over. The last thing we heard was that Billy Sells sent you your worst of the week. So start from there.
Sorry, my internet's been real spotty today.
The worst of the week is Rob's internet connection. I know.
That's true.
Great.
So anyone else get frustrated when you average over 230 in a tournament but can't make no money because the regional pros show up?
Oh man. Oh. It's terrible.
Dude.
How angry would they be if a national pro showed up?
Dude, those regional pros, you know them, man. You don't want to see them walk into the door.
True. I also got to give a shout here because I have a best of the week. It doesn't happen often, but I have a best of the week too. So earlier today, Rob, like right before we came on the air, your brother Dave put up a post on his personal Facebook page saying anyone looking for one or two players for the USBC June 24th through July. And a guy named Brian Vasquez,
dude, that's my college buddy. That's my college buddy, Chavez.
He comes on and he says, "Yeah, are your two brothers available?" That's best of the week. That's best of the week. Yo, that's awesome.
Chavez.
That's awesome.
Chavez.
All right, let's wrap it up. Let's wrap it up. All right, final thoughts, Rob. I'm tired. I want to go to bed.
Yeah, I know. And you just got your first vaccination, so you might be shaking off some cobwebs. Congrats on that. No, not really. Just spread the word, people. You know, we're out here for you talking bowling. I love having conversations about like high scores and just stuff like we talked about today. I feel like a lot of people, have those concerns about bowling and bowling league and, bringing the integrity of the sport back. And I feel like, Mike, we have big plans for the podcast. I got some big things working. It'll take some time on my end, but I feel like it'll be able to put out some more content, different content, right, than just a show. So look out for that in the next, 2021 coming through. Sweep the Rack.
Bowling media conglomerate.
Howl at your boy. Let's do it. We're gonna take over
bowling media conglomerate.
We're taking over the bowling world. One viewer, one listen at a time, Mike. I don't know. Maybe that should be our motto.
But in all honesty, help us spread the word, folks. Tell a few people. Let them know about the podcast. Tell other serious bowlers, people who listen to podcasts or into bowling. Let them know. Continue to hit us up. We get a lot of great emails from people.
We do. We try to get to them, Mike.
Yeah, we always try and get back. Sometimes we're busier than others, but we definitely try and get back. Hit us up on social media. I'm at the 215th on Twitter. Rob is at Brooklyn Rob 11. T Sand Official is asking, where's the merch? All right, yeah,
we're working on it.
You can't, guys, understand that like it's hard for us to believe that if we made something for people to purchase, that people would actually
buy it.
Okay, so like I don't want to go and get 100 T-shirts made and then sell three T-shirts. I have to watch my language here. There's kids from my class who stalk me and come and watch this show. So I gotta be on my P's and Q's here a little bit. But it's tough for us to believe that people would actually buy stuff that we would make. But yeah, I guess we can definitely look into that. So
there's my guy Chavez, best of the week. Congrats, brother. Congrats, Chavez. Dude, love that
best
guy.
of the week. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah.
So all right, Rob, my final thought is Masters week. Only
Next week,
30K on top, but I'm still going to be hyped. Still going to be hyped to watch the show.
What if it's
love
on
some
only
good
Bull
bowling.
TV though, Mike? We're not going to be able to watch it.
It's not. Our great listeners, our great viewers here confirmed earlier when you weren't paying attention to the chat that it is on Flow Bowling this week as well. No surprise there. If it wasn't, Lucas Wiseman would be dropping a few rungs on my ladder. I can say that. But I'll be watching this week. I will be paying attention to the action. Can't wait for the show. Another major is going to be awarded. If Kyle Troop wins, Player of the Year might be wrapped by the end of this week. I'm going to be watching intently. Can't wait. U.S. Open to follow. Rob, we're gonna, that's your favorite week in bowling, so we're coming with the fire next week. Thanks for joining us, folks. Hit us up. Let us know what's good, and we'll check everybody out next week. All right.
All right. Later, guys. Peace.
You are now listening to Sweep the Rack podcast featuring Brooklyn Rob and Big